Good day, Mr. Ashraf. My name is Sebasini, and today my group consisting Yudish, Wayne, Sahana, Prasannath, and Rameshwari will be presenting about an important symbol for the French Republican movement called the Storm of Bastille. So let's get right into the introduction. The Bastille was a fortress built in the late 1300s to protect Paris during the Hundred Years' War. By the late 1700s, the Bastille was mostly used as a state prison by King Louis XIV. The revolutionaries who stormed the Bastille were mostly craftsmen and store owners who lived in Paris, and they were the member of a French social class called the Third Estate. It was the first major act of violence in the French Revolution by the revolutionaries against King Louis XIV and the French monarchy. As such, historians consider the storming of the Bastille to be the spark of the French Revolution and the event that started the French down the violent path towards the revolt.
The French monarchy was unable to adapt to the economic pressures exerted to them. Large contributions in the many wars King Louis XIV undertook needed huge sums of money to finance, and King Louis XIV continued to live extravagantly. He bought a diamond necklace worth $40 million while the taxes doubled for the peasants. This irresponsible spending pattern brought France extremely close to bankruptcy. Additionally, 2 decades of poor harvest, drought, and cattle disease caused the agricultural landscape to be in dire straits. Prices for bread, for example, rose significantly, and the king's heavy tax regime became unacceptable to the already impoverished people. Riots and strikes ensued. France was in social turmoil. Thus began the windfall of the revolution.
My name is Prasannath, and I'm here to speak about the tennis court oath and the National Assembly. The tennis court oath was taken in an indoor tennis court in Jeu de Paume. This oath was basically meant that they agreed not to disband until a new French constitution had been adopted. The deputies of the Third Estate, which had the most representatives, declared itself the National Assembly and took an oath to force a new constitution on the king. The National Assembly, which represents commoners and the lower clergy, decided to storm Bastille after King Louis arrested one of their popular minister of state who had supported reforms, whose name was Jacques Necker.
Next, I'm Phua and I'm going to share the story of the Bastille. On July 14, 1789, partisans had stormed into Hotel des Invalides to look out for weapons, but a few days ago, 250 barrels of gunpowder were transferred to the Bastille for caution. The next day, around mid-morning, the Bastille was surrounded, and they asked for the prison governor, Bernard Jordan, to release the firearms and gunpowder. They had sent in representatives to negotiate, but they are getting impatient because of Jordan trying to drag the negotiation. So they decided to storm into the Bastille by force. Chaos instantly erupted in the court, with the soldiers and the crowd fighting against each other. Jordan tried to ease the situation by offering a letter of his offerings, which was immediately declined by the partisans. With limited food stocks and water supplies, he was forced to surrender the Bastilles. Jordan was murdered with his head atop pikes when he was brought back to the Hotel des Invalides. And this is the start of the French Revolution.
Hi there, I'm Sahana, and today I'll be talking about the effects and aftermath of the storming of Bastille. The storming of the Bastille was a crucial stepping stone towards the start of the French Revolution, whereby the monarchy was overthrown and the republic revolved around the concept of the French for liberty, equality, and fraternity. Not only did this tragic occurrence lead to nearly 100 deaths, it was also the reasoning behind the elimination of feudalism both legally and institutionally as a means of avoiding rebellion among people. In addition to that, the storming of Bastille led to an agrarian and social revolution amongst the French countryside, whereby the peasants began to attack castles and homes with weapons, even going as far as setting fire to the buildings of the tax officers which had disrespected them.
Today, the people in France are reminded of the fall of Bastille each year on the 14th of July, known as the Bastille Day. It is a national holiday for the French and was decided in 1880. The storming of Bastille remains a memorable moment for the French long after its fall. To the people, the storming of Bastille was an event that helped the French retain its power by ending an arbitrary rule. It serves as a reminder to the people born in modern times that their ancestry does not merely revolve around the acts of valor or cruelty, but also involved acts that sought for justice. All in all, the storming of Bastille is an important event in history, as it was the beginning of one of the most important historical events in Europe, known as the French Revolution.